Investors are going to watch for his take on labor, inflation, and a potential rollback of the 2020 inflation target framework. Think that 2%. Let's bring in Bolvin Wealth Management Group President Gina Bolvin. Gina, your reaction, this is his last speech. At the same time, this is the speech of the year. It looks like they're going to be, and this is Nick Timrose in the Wall Street Journal reporting that this morning, that they're going to basically kind of get away from what the framework was in 2020, and they're going to kind of reset. What are you expecting?
Hi, good morning, Cheryl. The market is really holding its breath to see what Powell is going to say, and I think that investors and the market may be a little bit disappointed. Last year, he did set the stage for a 50 basis point cut, but I don't think we're going to get much out of him today. Typically, when a Fed chair has their last Jackson Hole meeting, they reflect on their tenure. And I'm not so sure the Fed knows exactly what they're going to do with rates in September. We still have a key economic data that's going to be coming out in September before the Fed's decision. So on September 5th, we're going to get the jobs report. That's a biggie. And on September 11th, we're also going to get more CPI inflation data. So I don't think we're going to get too much today.
John Lonsky, what are you expecting?
Well, I think that Chairman Powell may go ahead and vaguely hint of a high likelihood of a rate cut at the September 17th meeting of the Federal Reserve. You correctly indicated that there is a very important report coming out prior to the meeting. I think that's the most important one is going to be the jobs report on Friday, September 5th. We've had a lot of surprising weakness in terms of jobs creation. My goodness, the 3 months ended July. We added only 35,000 jobs per month on average, even over the accompanying 6-month span of only 81,000 jobs per month. If we find out that in the month of August we created no more than 75,000 jobs, I think a rate cut is a done deal. After all, the Fed admits, and most economists admit that whatever upward pressure tariffs put on price inflation, the increase by price inflation should only be temporary. In fact, my view is that consumers are so burdened right now by higher prices that if prices increase, consumers spend less. And of course, if consumers spend less, that's going to put more downward pressure on jobs creation.
Well, we'll see what happens when he talks and if he gets into that much detail. It's hard to say. He's going to be pretty, I would think, careful with his words, Gina. But there's also some other pressure on Powell right now I want to ask you about, because the Justice Department's opened a probe into Fed Governor Lisa Cook over mortgage fraud accusations brought by Federal Housing Director Bill Pulte. A top DOJ official urging Fed Chair Powell to remove her from the board. President Trump also wants her to resign. Pulte said he's investigating a third property of hers right now. He joined Maria on Wednesday, and he told her the president has ample cause to fire her. Now, Cook says she's not quitting. She says these are baseless, politically motivated accusations. Gina, what do you make of all of this?
Well, I think Fed independence is very important, but I also think if the shoe was on the other foot and Donald Trump was accused of this, I think that, we'd see the same problems. So I think the Fed chair today may talk a little bit about Fed independence, alluding to what's going on with Lisa Cook. But I think another really important data point for the market isn't so much the Fed's meeting today, but it's Nvidia's earnings next Wednesday. And we're starting to see some of the tech stocks, the mega cap tech stocks, lose a little momentum. And that really could be a market driver. That could be a catalyst next Wednesday.
Interesting. All right. So Nvidia, look, there's these reports that they're asking their suppliers to halt the H20 chip production because Beijing ordered Chinese firms to stop buying them. Jensen Huang,
right.
he pushed back. He says, hey, there's no back doors. But at the same time, it doesn't seem like, this is going to go any further. The Chinese are fighting back, and we're in the middle of this whole trade negotiation with them anyway. By the way, Meta signed a $10 billion 6-year cloud deal with Google. And that's going to shift part of the AI workloads from AWS and Azure. And that gives Meta a lot of computing power as they're ramping up spending. What do you make of all this?
AI has been the biggest tailwind for the market this year. We're just finishing up earnings season, and it's every time I come on, I talk about it's another better than expected earnings season. And we expected 4.5% earnings growth for the S&P 500. We're tracking about 11.7. Listen to this, Cheryl. 8.5 points is driven by technology. Not only did we see tech companies driving 8.5 out of 12 points of earnings growth, but we saw the AI CapEx spend commitment increase. We're going to see about $380 billion being spent this year and almost $460 billion next year. So this is alive and well, and I think that tech might have a little bit of a pullback, but it's going to continue. That CapEx spend is going somewhere. That's somebody else's revenue. And I'm also encouraged by how well margins have held up as 60% of tariffs have worked their way into the economy. So I'm very bullish on technology and the market after we get through this week's seasonality.
All right, and I'm glad you teed up Nvidia for us. We'll talk about that next week. We're going to get through Powell today. Okay. Gina Bolvin, thank you so much for being here. We'll be right back, everybody.
Thank you.
All eyes